Welcome to DubLife Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania Magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, guys, welcome back to DubLife Diaries. Today's guest is a modern nomad, a self-taught VW bus builder and the owner of an air-cooled shop in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But what really made Jay's story wild is how it started in a garage during the lockdown. We're going to hear all about it. And what came next will blow your mind. Jaye Foster, welcome to DubLife Diaries.
How's it going, man?
What's up, man? Thanks for joining. We're going to have a great time. I know I got a killer episode prepared for you. Before we dive in, I do want to give a shout out to my sponsors, Volksmania Magazine. I feel like it's the flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. Why? Because it's quality. All the pages, the glossiness, and then just the staff that's there, man. They hook you up and really they're about the community. So shout out to Volksmania. If you guys want to get hooked up with them, visit Volksmania.com. Make sure you utilize DubLife 10. That's DUBLIFE, the number 1, the number 0 at checkout for 10% off your subscription. That is U.S. customers only. This episode is sponsored by Salty Dub. From the beach to the bay, Salty Dub is all things VW swag and events. Check those guys out, www.saltydub.com. Also, the same discount code. Any of the swag, the sunglasses, the hats, all the cool Salty Dub stuff they have, DubLife10 at checkout. Utilize that code. You'll get 10% off of your merch purchase. All right, dude. That's it. Back to you. Back to you, my brother. All right. Let's take it back. Take us back to what inspired you to build this 77 bus from scratch during COVID.
So really where it started, I was young, I think I was 19 or 20 and that's when I really got my start kind of messing around with VWs, and it was unintentional, honestly, but I was in college and I was working a full-time job and my car had conked out on me. So I was walking to class, and one day I took a different route to see if it would get me there a little bit quicker. And I was walking pretty far, and I get down that road and there's this little gray rust bucket sitting off in this yard, and it had a for sale sign on it. And I was like, well, I might as well just call. It looks cheap, So I called the guy, his little old man. He walked out and he's sitting there telling me about it. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know what the car was. I had no idea. And turns out it was an 87 Golf GL. Little 1.8, nothing special. It was a 5-speed. It looked like it had definitely lived about 100 lifetimes. And he's like, well, I want $1,000 for it. And I was like, shit, I can't do it. So I was like, well, thank you for your time. And I took off walking, and he yelled for me. I got halfway down the road and he's like, hey, come back. And I was like, okay. He's like, how much you got on you? I was like, well, I got 500. That's all I got. He's like, I'll take it. Just drive it away. I was like, shit, okay. And that was my first VW. And I can't even say it spiraled after that, because it was literally like a tornado. I fell in love with that car. It leaked everything known to man. I'm talking water, oil, you name it. It leaked it all. And I just started buying more. So for a long time, I don't even know how many years it was, I was really into just the water cooled stuff. And how I got into air cooled, I was at Bugapalooza in 2018, I think it was 2018. And I had a little Agner edition Cabriolet. They didn't make many of them, but that thing was junk. I got paid by a guy to get it out of his yard because he was so tired of looking at it. And so I got it running ish. It died like 6 times on the way to Bugapalooza, but I wasn't going to miss it. I get out there and I'm kind of walking around. I come back after about an hour just kind of perusing, and my dad, he was there with he had a 74 Gia. It was beautiful. He sold it, but man, I wish he wouldn't have. But anyways, he was like, hey, so some guy came by and he wanted your car. I was like, oh, okay. Do you want to buy it? He's like, nah, he said he had a bus to trade. I was like, oh, shut up. I don't believe you at all. He's like, no, really. He had a bus. And I was like, where's he at? He goes, well, he was parked across the street right there, and he had a trailer full of buses. He had like 5 on the back of it. He had, big car hauler. and he was gone. I was like, shoot, man, I kind of missed out. I was so upset about it. And he said, well, he said he'd be back tomorrow. I was like, well, I hope he is. I sat there all freaking day Sunday in my chair, did not even move, didn't even move. And finally, the show was already over. Half the people had already left. I mean, it was like 5 o'clock, and all of a sudden, here comes this car hauler with a bunch of buses on the back of it. And I walked over there. I was like, "Did you want to trade one of these for that car?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, my kid likes it." I was like, "Oh God." So I picked the nicest looking one, and nice is definitely not a definition that I'd use for this one, but it was a 72s. I named her Mabel, and that's the one I actually started building, believe it or not. Nugget didn't come until 2021. Yeah, Nug didn't even come till 2021. 20 no, yeah, it was late 2020. She didn't come till then. So I'd actually built that 72 in my garage for, I mean, I bought it in 2018, didn't, or traded for it, and I didn't mess with it until realistically it was like 2019, and that's when I actually started getting really heavy into it, getting the engine built and the transmission and doing all this stuff. And ended up she had some rust in the back after I put the engine and transmission in. The whole torsion bar just kind of fell out of it. And I was like, okay, well, I can't fix that. I mean, I can, but it costs more to fix that than it is just go find another bus. And I posted on one of the, I think it was East Tennessee Air Cooled Club Facebook page. I said, please, I am in desperate need for a bus, you know. And this guy commented back and he said, well, I've got hundreds. I was like,
100.
okay, cool. Yeah, hundreds. No, and this ain't no joke. He has still got so many freaking buses. And he commented back, and I went, I messaged him. I said, look, I've got the cash, sight unseen. I need the nicest looking one that you have, like the cleanest one. He's like, well, they've all been sitting. I said, that's fine. I want the one that's got like the least rust. And it was like the next day, he sent me a picture of some trees, and I was like, okay, cool. He said, no, there's a bus in there. And I looked real close, and sure enough, there was. I was like, holy crap. I was like, dude, that's your cleanest one. I don't know that I want. And he's like, no, it's pretty solid. It's been here for like 30 years. And I was like, whatever. I went out on a limb. I said, here, I'll take it. I'll be up there tomorrow to pick it up. Or I think it was Saturday or Sunday. I'll be up there to pick it up. And it was what, became Nugget. And it was the same bus. And I was like, and it was cleaner than I thought it was. I was like, oh my God. So everything out of that 72 went immediately into Nug.
Into the 77. Right on.
Yep.
And real quick, too, I like your hat. Shout out Chris White, Riverbank Customs. What's up, my brother?
He is such a good guy. I love Chris.
He
Like,
is, man.
I met him. We both worked at the same place, and I met him. My dad had known him for forever, and my dad was like, because they all worked together, and my dad was like, so this guy I work with, he's got a bug, right? I said, no, I didn't even know that. And sure enough, it was Chris, and we became friends. Now, anytime, I mean, they got a show going on. Most of the time, I'll cruise down there. They got a tech session. I mean, I hadn't been to many, but I try to make a point to hang out with them
I think that's
anytime they're all
also such a
together.
great idea. Tech sessions, man. Those are fantastic. I had another guy that was on the podcast out of Colorado, and they do those too for the community once a
Yep.
month. Having one where it's tacos and carburetors next.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So they're gonna break down the
That's
carburetor and serve tacos. I'm like, dude, what a cool idea.
Yeah, that's usually what Richard and Christy Hill do out there in Moody, Alabama, near where Chris is at. And I mean, last time, I mean, they do a big cookout. It's just a fun day. I didn't get to stay all day, but man, I had fun when I was there because it's just it's a small community and everybody's involved.
So at what point in building this 77 during the lockdown during COVID, at what point were you like, maybe thinking either one, I'm onto something, or two, something that you haven't said yet is that, and I think I caught this from your background, that you actually sold a lot of your stuff and ended up moving into this bus for a little while, right?
I did.
So at what point in the build did that motion kind of start? How were you inspired to move into it?
Man, so my intention when I got the bus to begin with, even the 72, my intention was I wanted to get it running, and I've always wanted to go visit Yellowstone or, the Grand Teton, stuff
Ooh,
like that.
yeah.
I've always wanted to go. I always wanted to. And I was like, what better way to travel across country than in a VW bus? I've always wanted one. My grandmother showed me the Woodstock film when I was young, and after that, I was like, I gotta have one. I've
Yeah,
got to,
buddy.
you know. So, I never thought that I'd have one, and the Yellowstone idea was very persistent for years, and then I put the solar panels on my bus, and then I got the fridge in my bus, and then I got the bed put in, and all this, and lights, and extra batteries, and you name it. I had the big off-road tires and stuff, and had an off-grid shower. I was like, I'm gonna go make a month or two out of it. And then I started watching. It was a doc. I can't even remember the name of the documentary, but it had Kit and Jr. And they have Sunshine Bus. They've lived in their VW bus for, I mean, at the time it was 10 years.
Wow.
You know, and I watched that documentary they were in, and I was like, that's the most amazing life I've ever seen. And yeah, and every single day it was like that was an ever so inclusive thought all day, every day. I'd be at work, because I actually worked for Volkswagen at the factory over here in Chattanooga because we got the only one in North America. And I was there for 6 years. And when it finally dawned on me that I'm not just going to Yellowstone, I want to go everywhere. I want to go wherever the hell I feel like going, and not turn back until I decide to. And I it was always there. I
Was
thought
that
about it every
wa-
day.
was Yellowstone one of your first long hauls? Was that one of your first big trips?
Believe it or not, I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't even went yet.
Oh,
I went everywhere else. I went everywhere else. I
well,
fell in
so
love with everything else.
give me a location. What was the first big trip that you took?
High Country Bus Festival was the first trip that I took in the bus.
Any
That was
any
the first one.
any problems on that trip?
No,
We
I
got to
mean,
talk about road trip stuff.
apart from getting kicked out of a parking lot for sleeping because I was tired. But other than that, no, like, you know, stopped off in Asheville for a couple of days,
Oh,
hung
I
out with
love
some,
Asheville.
oh, I love Asheville, but we
Yeah.
stopped off there for a couple of days and hung out with some other nomads because it's a big nomadic city. I was like, well, here's, High Country Bus Fest is happening, so might as well just go. So went up there and spent a couple of days. And after the show was, or after the camp out was over, I was like, crap, man, that was so much fun. I've never been to a VW camp out, and I want to do it again. And this is the real long haul. This next trip was the first long haul, technically. Like, to High Country is in Crumpler, North Carolina, which is on the Virginia border. That's far, but nowhere near as far as the second leg of the adventure.
Well,
A buddy of mine,
let's touch on that though. So, paint the
yeah,
picture for us. Give me some of the most amazing, like jaw-dropping places that you've ever, like, for a backdrop, or that you've ever parked your bus.
there's so many to name. I mean, I think one of the best places that I've ever stopped, and I stayed for a couple of weeks because it was just gorgeous, but it was in the Verde Valley in Arizona. And you're positioned in between the Mingus Mountains ahead of you, and behind you you've got the Red Cliffs of Sedona. And you're in this valley. You've got Jerome, which is a teeny tiny little ghost town in the mountain right up at the top of Mingus, and you can see the lights at night there. You can see all the stars above you, and right behind you the moon is just glaring off of the bright red cliffs in Sedona. That was one of the most beautiful spots that I've ever stayed. It's got to be. Yeah, I don't know. Like, anytime I'm in Arizona, I make a point to go there. Oh, I love it.
I lived out west in Colorado for many years, and we made our rounds through Utah, through Arizona, through all
Oh
of
yeah.
yeah.
See, I've got a lot of friends in Durango, Silverton area, and I love camping out there. Near, what's it called, Purgatory. Love.
There's no humidity out there, dude.
No, it's awesome. I'm
I know
dying
it.
right now.
I know. I'm dying. I'm down here in Florida. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
dying in the humidity. So let's talk
I
about
can't
on
do
the
Florida.
road. Like, what's some of your sketchiest moments of maybe even driving that you faced on the road?
So one of the sketchiest moments, I was out west, Arizona again, and I had looked on Google Maps, and it said something about there's an abandoned train tunnel that was built in like the 1880s. Used to how the Santa Fe used to roll through there, and I was like, let's go find it. So we're using satellite to figure out where to go. Cause I mean, it was out there. There's no roads, I'm out, way out. And we're coming down through this wash, and it didn't look as deep as it was at the top, at the top. I was like, I can make it up it, I'm whatever. So we got like 5 people piled in the back of my bus, and I get to the bottom, and I forget that I'm like 7,000 feet in elevation, and I haven't adjusted my carbs yet because I've got dual carbs back there. And as soon as I get halfway up, she just stalls. I was like, oh crap, this is not good. So everybody hops out, and I'm like, yeah, y'all want to get out for this one. And I tried to crank it, and she wouldn't do it. I had to put my foot on the gas, but I couldn't, there was nothing I could do. So as soon as I finally got her cranked, she just rolled completely back. And as soon as she goes back, she hits this, the wheel turned a little bit, and I hit this little boulder, and it just rolled her on her driver's side, just completely flipped the bus over. I was like, so that that was pretty sketchy. So I hop out, and everybody's freaking out, and I'm over here laughing. I mean, it was the most fun I'd ever have. I was like, this is awesome. So we just flipped her back over, and I made it up the wash. I wasn't going to turn around. I mean, really, I couldn't, but I just had to keep going. So that's one of the sketchiest. I mean,
So that's a sketchy one. Hey, you
I've done
rolled.
some bad ones.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Now, okay,
She's got a nice dent.
that's for the bus. How about maybe for people? Like, what's the wildest person or human encounter that you've had on the road?
A lot of people think that, when you're on the road, that you're constantly or even occasionally coming up against crazy people. But I mean, to be honest with you, I think we only ran into like one person, well, a group of people that I didn't think were sketchy at the time until the story came out a week later. And, the guy had murdered his girlfriend, and they were fellow nomads. And that was probably like one of the sketchiest things that I've ever experienced. But we didn't know it. They
Okay.
always say that, you can't. It's kind of like these people, when you watch documentaries on serial killers and stuff like that. It's like, well, how couldn't you have known? Dude, they hide it,
Yeah,
and
they
you'll
were
never know.
totally normal people, or from what they seem to be. Yeah,
And that's probably the sketchiest. I mean, honestly, haven't really had too many things happen. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess I just pick nice spots. I don't know.
well, full-time van life is not for the faint of heart. But
No.
what do people not understand about living full-time in a VW camper or bus?
And it's one of the most eye-opening experiences that I've ever gotten the pleasure to experience. A lot of people think that it's all just, you got a different backyard every day and stuff like that. But I mean, unless you're rich, you don't have that. You've got to work every day, or you've got to work, you got to make money to get to the next spot. And, that's the thing that people don't understand about it, is it is hard. It's hard, but I tell you what, it is the most fulfilling thing that I've ever done in my life. I came back from it a totally different person. I had a different
Wow.
outlook, a different perspective on life, because
Sure.
when you have nothing, and I mean nothing, there's times where I've been standing on the side of the road with a gas jug, just like, please give me like $1 so I can make it the rest of the way to where I can go work and make some money. And there's been times where I had enough after working, and I was able to go wherever I felt like going. And that's the best part about it. And the people you meet, it's like nothing else. Like, I've the nomadic community is honestly, and I love the VW community, don't get me wrong, but there's something so different about the nomadic community, because you've got all of these people in one little place. Well, I say one spread out place in the desert or in the mountains or something like that. And you've got some that live in $1 million RVs, and you've got these people that live in tents. And I tell you what, we have these gigantic community dinners and breakfasts, lunches, and stuff like that. And everybody just brings something, and you've got a little piece of that person's background and that person's culture. And it's just harmony all day, every day, you know?
So paint the picture for listeners, especially ones that are maybe even motivated by this episode to maybe go live in a bus. What did daily life actually look like? I mean, cover sleeping, eating, your hygiene, like how, yeah, like cover some of those things, like so listeners can really fully, I guess, understand, what it is that you do full time on the road like that.
So you have to get used to being uncomfortable. That's the easiest way to describe it. It's uncomfortable. It really is, but it's something that you get used to. Like I don't have a Westie. I've just got a 10 top bus. So putting your pants on in the morning, you're laying down. You're not standing up to put your pants on, not standing up to cook food. But the thing is that I'll be honest with you, I ate better on the road than I have since I've been living off the road, because you have the ability, you have the capability realistically to go out and find better foods than you're going to get at a Walmart and stuff like that. Because I lived off grid, I met other people who also lived off grid, so we would have fresh veggies and fresh fruits and stuff like that, and we ate really good. I mean, this wasn't like, you know, ramen noodles every night. I mean, yeah, sure, we had days where we're like, ah, screw it, we don't feel like making anything crazy, so we do that. But we ate good, and then showering and stuff like that. Yeah, obviously, you're gonna waste a lot of money if you're riding into town every single day, because I didn't sleep in a parking lot in town. I was 30, 40, 50, 60 miles out in the middle of the desert where
Dang.
you don't even have cell signal. So you're going a couple of days, and that's the realistic part of it. Everybody's like, oh, it's so gross. But it's like, I mean, you get used to it, you know. So what I did is I had a Planet Fitness subscription, and I made a point to be at least within driving distance, an hour or so of Planet Fitness. And I went there, got a hot shower, went to a laundromat to do my clothes. So, if I wasn't totally off grid out in the middle of nowhere, you'd never know it, because I didn't look any different. I kept up with my facial hair,
Sure.
but daily life was a lot of, if you're not working, you're exploring. Hiked every day. I was healthier on the road than I am now. You know, I was always hiking. I wanted to see what was around the next corner. I want to go look at this big tree or this big hill. What's on top
Right.
of this hill? Let's go find a cave. So I stayed active. I stayed moving. My little dog over here, she stayed active and she stayed moving. That's why, like, she never even has a leash on her half the time unless I'm around other dogs, because she's used to being by my side. And then at night, you get to watch the stars, and depending on where you're at, you can see the galaxy, you can see all of it. I mean, there's no light pollution if you go far enough out, and there's no people when you go far enough out. So it's a lot of alone time. It's a lot of yourself to your own thoughts, campfires, and I love it. I miss it every day. It's hard to transition back to, I guess, real life, if you want to call it that, but it's hard to transition back to it after being on the road for so long.
Let's talk about that transition though. Was there, like, looking back, was there maybe a specific day or a specific time in your life where you said to yourself, "All right, it's time to go get a real roof again."
Man, yeah.
Tell me
the
about it.
burnout the
Yeah.
burnout happened. It was just a series of unfortunate things that had happened to where it just wasn't feasible anymore to continue doing it. Had a crappy boss at this one job we're working not too long. He was a terrible person and barely paid, so we didn't have enough money to go to the next place. So then we just kind of got stuck, and then finally went back to Alaska. They flew us out, and then ended up not making enough money there either because of some worker strikes and stuff like that. So didn't get enough there. So we make it back, and it was like, I don't even want to be here anymore. I don't want to be in the bus anymore. It was just a year or two of just straight stress. It was tough. And I didn't even plan on just staying in a house or whatever for too long. And then now it's been 2 years. So really, I mean, the burnout was coming, and it was just a series of unfortunate things that, it just happened, and it just made it harder. Needless to say, we had pushed through it for years before that, but finally got to the point I was like, I'm done with this, and wanted to do more with these cars.
So you stopped traveling full time. What what made you decide to settle on Chattanooga?
Well, I've lived here. I think now it makes about 5 or 6 times I've lived in Chattanooga. I don't know. I love this city. I love this city. I love the community. I love the little VW club we have, and I love all my
What
friends here.
what's the name of the club?
Well, we've got the Scenic City Volks folks here, and then you've got dubbing for chat and stuff like that. And really, I love being a part of the East Tennessee Air Cooled Club. That's the one that I guess I associate myself with more. Hang out with those guys all the time, AJ Batista and them, Roe and Jen, and I mean those guys are just incredible. They don't even put on car shows; they put on cruises, and they could care less. Like one of the best ones that they put on, and it's one of my favorite ones in the country. I'd make a point to drive back from California just to go here, and I've done it a couple of times. I was in Cali or Arizona, and I was like, I want to go do this cruise, so I would drive all the way back across the country just to do this cruise. But it was Bug
Dang.
and the Dragon, yeah, like so. Yeah, I've done that once or twice now, and that's one of the most fun cruises in the Southeast. Nothing tops it. I'm sorry.
What is
I've been
it?
on. It's Bug and the Dragon, so we just take over the dragon for a day, and it's fun. This year I think there was like 108, 109. Chris and all of them came up. The entire Alabama crew came up. I mean, it was just awesome.
Yeah.
Next year they're trying to get the Florida guys to come up. Hopefully y'all show out because it is
Yeah.
so fun and it's free. You just
Well,
drive your car.
we got to do some mingling because we got some stuff down here that we want you boys to come be a part of too. You guys know about Bug Jam. I know
Yep.
Chris is a sponsor and sets up there, but a little further south of them is us down here in the Tampa Bay area, and we've got V-dubs on the pier and we've got V-dubs over the Skyway. The Skyway Bridge is like this monumental, epic, major, 400-foot tall, just amazing architectural, just badass bridge.
Yeah.
And we get together, come over the Skyway, and last year we had 240 cars. The year
Jeez.
the year before was the 25th anniversary ride, and we had over 400, dude.
Dude, that's crazy.
The line was over 2 miles long. It was crazy. It
That is
really was.
insane.
Yeah. So,
See, I
you know,
need to get down to Florida and do more stuff. I haven't done a lot in Florida.
we'll come see you, and then you just make that promise to come down and hang with us for our stuff too. But yeah, so let's go back to the garage hobby that really kind of became a full-blown air-cooled VW business, which is what you're doing now. Before the podcast started, you took the phone and you showed me around. You got about 8 or 9 dubs in the shop right now, and that was really, really cool to see. But rewind the clock a little bit of when you stopped tinkering, you took it serious. Do you remember your first paying client?
The first paying client I had, I think it was Christy, little lady Christy out of Sevierville. At the time, I didn't have a shop. I just did it mobile work, so I had my bus full of tools and I would just drive to wherever you were. And my first client was Christy, and I worked on Little Beetle Bailey's. He's a little 77 or 78 bug. Was fuel injected. He's carbureted now, but that's one of my favorite bugs in the world just because of the owner. He is, she's from from the Keys. So Beetle Bailey was down in the Keys and he looks like he was in the Keys, but you know what? She loves that little car to bits, man. And I went up there, I did some brake work, did some valve adjustments, just a couple of small odds and end things, and that was my first client. And I felt so bad to tell her the total because I was trying to get used to it. I had worked for other shops before and it didn't work out the way that I really wanted it to. So when I got let go of that last shop, I was like, what am I gonna do? Sit at home and pity or just continue doing what I've been trying to do for the past couple of years. And, that's when it went from a hobby to doing this. And I don't know, I still every day somebody calls me and I'm like, why do they pick me? It really, yeah, it's a little overwhelming at times, but I couldn't see myself doing anything else. And, I'm not the best at all, but I'm trying to be.
So let's touch on that because there's going to be magic probably in this answer. But anybody that works on these cars full time, there's something about them, right? Like What do you love most about wrenching on old Volkswagens?
It's kind of a love-hate thing, and if you have one, anybody that listens to it, if you got one, which I'm sure everybody that listens to it does, you know, if you have one, you understand that your car has its own personality. It's got its own personality. It has its own traits. It has its own attitude. And that's the thing that I love and I hate the most about it is that some of these cars have such a negative attitude. I'm over here like, just work. Just work for me, please. You're fine. You want to run. I
Yeah,
know you don't want to stay dead,
and you
and
you
I've
talk
got
you talk to them too, for sure.
Oh, dude, I talk all day long. Every single car in here, I talk to every single one of them. And some of them, their attitude about it is, I want to be back on the road. So here, I will help you. And that's the coolest part about it is that you get some of these that are super grateful for you touching the valves, and then you've got some that would much rather spit a push rod out at you or break a valve spring, like this little buggy over here. And that's the thing. That's the beauty and the negativity about doing it is these cars have they have their own attitudes, and that's what I love about them, and they reflect. They really do. They're a reflection of their owners. Not saying that the ones that have bad attitudes or have bad owners or anything like that, but like my bus, for example, like, excuse my language, my bus is an asshole. She is rude. God, she's so rude. When she works, and when she doesn't, she does not care. I mean, I was going to a show a couple of years ago, and she broke down 4 times on the way there, and it was 4 different things. I mean, throttle cable snapped, then my clutch cable snapped, and then this happened, and I broke some linkage on my carbs. It's literally like some days she just wants to be put back in the woods that I drug her out from, and I'm not gonna let it happen. So, and that's how some of these cars act. They're like, no, 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 put me back in the shed. I don't want to come out, not yet. And I'm like, no, you're going to. So that's the magic in it. Is hearing them work again when they haven't in either so long, or they haven't ran great in forever, and you finally get the owner. The owner comes back to drive it, and they're walking up to you like, this is can't remember the last time my car ran like this. That's what I love the most about it.
Give me some advice for somebody that wants to potentially get into the VW world, maybe not even the camping world, but as a mechanic too, give me advice from your perspective of somebody that would be interested in becoming a VW enthusiast in today's society.
Man, be patient. Be
Would you
patient.
would you recommend buying one built, or would you recommend building one?
Everybody, I think your first VW that you get should be a project, because for the people that buy them already built, already running, because theirs don't run great. I'm sorry. Most of the time they don't. But the people that don't buy their way into it and they want to learn and grow with the car, those are the ones that theirs is always the best reflection of them. So I tell everybody, like, if you want your first one, get a project, man. You will respect these cars a lot more. You will treat them better. You will understand what they love and what they don't like than if you just go and buy one for $20,000 that already runs. That's cool and all. You can buy a project that runs, but learn how to work on it in the process, because they're going to leave you on the side of the road. It's going to happen. I'm sorry. It will. I promise you. Even us. People say that the mechanics, oh, y'all's are supposed to be no, ours are always the worst ones, I promise you. So, you know, but no, buy a project, save one. Because if you're buying one that somebody has already saved, yeah, it's cool. You're exchanging hands, but no, be the change. Save one.
So
Save that car.
it's like the adopt, don't shop, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, save one. So the
Yeah.
VW culture as we know it, it's vast, it's huge, because we're ingrained and we go to these big shows that we see, I guess the culture as it is today. I remember it from high school too. First time I ever went to a bug jam, I was blown away that many people cared about classic Volkswagens, especially back
Yeah.
in the 90s. But do you think the culture, the VW culture, is growing, or do you think that it's fading over time?
Oh man, it's growing, and it's growing substantially. I
I
mean, it
have.
really truly is. It's growing. I mean, I've seen it personally around, you know, Chris White's area. I've watched him and Adam grow that community in a very relatively short amount of time. When I was hanging out with Chris, when I lived in Alabama, because it's where I'm originally from, it's 2 years ago. And I mean, there's maybe three VWs that would hang out over there. That's it. Now there's 20 to 30 that always show up every time. They're coming out of the woodworks now, you
Adam
know?
Adam Simpson, you said Adam, so I got to shout out him, Adam Simpson, another guy that's been on the podcast, another super stand-up guy. I had a really, really awesome time interviewing him, but shout out to him too. I heard you mention him,
Yep.
so I want to say what's up to him.
Yeah, I mean those two guys are doing magic. I mean Adam with the Tannehill show and Chris White, just like for example, it was last year. There's a local show in Pell City, Alabama, and it's called Lakeside Live, and it's not a VW show at all. But Chris had been talking to them and begging them like, hey, give the VWs an award, like make their own category. This mostly American cars and stuff like that. And we go out there and he was like, he told everybody before we came, he said, look, I want as many VWs as I can get out here because they told me that if I can get 20, I think it was either 20 or 25, they will do their own category for VWs next year, this year meaning. And I think he brought 40 something.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And that was it was a beautiful moment because I would never have imagined that many in that area in 3 years before that, 2 or 3 years before that. I'm just not at all. I'm seeing more. It's growing. It is not shrinking.
Good. And I'm going to have to agree with you. I think it's growing too. And I'm hopeful that, the next generation, appreciates the air cooled vibes as much as we do. Those of us that kind of came up in it. When I got my first car, it was only 20 years old, not 50 years old, so they're a lot older
Yeah.
now. I'm a lot older now, but it's just something I notice, the next generation, if you will, they have interest. They're showing up at these
Yeah.
meets. They got young kids are getting into these things. And whether you approve of this or not, they even have a lot of the EV conversions taking place by the new younger guys now. And, to me, it's like, hey, whatever gets you in an old dub, like,
Yeah.
however the shoe fits, like, cool. I'm okay. I think there's a place for it. But
I think that's the coolest thing about them, man, is that they're so you can mold to these cars. I mean, whatever your lifestyle is, you've got the guys that turn these into Volks rods. Then you've got the guys like me. My bus is covered in stickers and she's not a looker, but I can tell you right now, she'll tear down some interstate miles. You know what I mean? And then you've
yeah,
got the guys that want theirs to be drag bugs and then street bugs and then sleepers and rat rods. If there is a place for
that's right.
every single one of you in this
That's right.
community.
Yep. I might have to agree with you. So let's talk about your bus, Nugget, or Nug. I like
Yeah,
Nug.
yeah.
Hey, I spent many years in Colorado. I know all about Nugs. So if Nug
Oh shoot.
if Nug could talk, if your bus could talk, what would it say? What story would it say? What would it tell you?
Put my ass back in the woods. No, she wouldn't. Right now, man, like I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. I know that she's missing the road right now. We haven't been on a road trip in forever since last year. I rebuilt the engine and the first maiden voyage, I drove it to Point Pleasant, West Virginia. So, you know, and that's kind of what it is. She's made to eat up highway miles, with the way the transmission's built and stuff like that. And the engine, that's what she wants. And I know that she's missing it right now because she was very happy on the Dragon, but on the way back she was very unhappy because I think she knew she was going back home. So, if she could say anything, it's take me on a road trip. And she's getting one in 2 weeks. We're going back to high country, so or I say 2 weeks, whenever that is, but we're going to high country. So she's gonna get a little road trip in and then back to Buses by the Bridge in January. So that's gonna be a long haul. It's like,
Ooh, I saw the pictures of that one. I got to come to that one year myself too. Buses by the Bridge.
dude, I've done
Gotta
it 3 years, man. I haven't done it. I didn't do it this year or last year, and I've got to go back. That's one of the most amazing VW bus shows in the country. God, it's so good.
We had a couple guys that went in a bus and drove all the way out there from here and kind of
It's fun.
yeah, they documented it. And I was following the pictures and everything, and it really looked interesting. I'd like to set up my podcast out there as
Oh,
support
there are so many
supporter.
people to talk to.
Dude, I bet that'd be awesome. You've
'Cause you
been
get people
through.
from all over.
I know. I see. I mean, worldwide.
Yeah,
I'm saying
yeah,
buses by the
yeah.
bridge is worldwide. It reminds me of buses on the pier in Huntington Beach, I believe, in California, which is like it's the sickest, coastal looking, I guess, cruise slash car show. I'm motivated to get out there at some point myself. I'm gonna come up and visit y'all's scene, especially with Adam. I know I'm gonna meet Chris in person, probably Adam too, at,
Tannehill.
at Bug Jam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yes, I also do want to support them, go to their shows, and set up as a vendor for the podcast. So for sure. But what I wanted to talk to you,
Sweet.
or what I wanted to say earlier was, you've been all over the country. You have faced trials and tribulations. You've told us some pretty awesome stories. What would you say to a VW enthusiast that might be feeling stuck in life right now? What would you tell them? Because you have faced a lot of adversity and pushed through it. So I'm interested and eager to hear what you would tell them.
I got chill bumps on that question because it is a very personal question. The thing and it doesn't matter whether you're an enthusiast or not. It's just as humans, we get so stuck in this 9 to 5 grind, you know, and a lot of people out there think that money brings happiness and stuff like that. No, money brings comfort. It allows you to buy things that you gain temporary happiness from and enjoyment and stuff like that. But what I like to tell people is never be afraid. I don't care how old you are. You're never too old to start over. You're never too old to go experience something new. You're never too old to just go travel or start that new job and just experience something, change up your life, because we're only here for a very short amount of time. If you think about it, I mean, logically, we're not here long. I'm not out here trying to make waves and stuff like that. I'm out here trying to do what I love, and it took me a very long time to figure out that this is what I love. I never expected to be working on cars for a living. I really didn't, but I went from I started working in a factory when I was 17, 18 years old. And then I left there and went to another factory that paid me more. And then I left there and went to another one, and then another one, and then another one. And then I spent 6 years absolutely miserable working at, VW here in Chattanooga, not because of the job. It's just because I wasn't happy with where I was at.
Right.
I had bought a house at the time, and I had nice stuff, and I realized that none of that actually truly made me happy. What made me happy was getting behind the wheel of my bus, and that gave me the opportunity to find the things in life that I truly did enjoy doing. And a lot of us, we don't get to experience that because, we're all from birth, we're pretty much told, hey, keep up with the Joneses. You got to pay your bills. You got to have kids. You got to get married, stuff like that. And, you know, I've always tried to seek discomfort, if that makes sense,
Yeah. Well,
because
I'm a sales instructor and I teach technicians how to produce, results in home trades. And we talk a lot about exactly what you just said in my sales class I teach in Texas. And that is, people naturally move towards comfort or they move away from pain. And that's science. And that's not something that we have really any control over. But the best sales guys are comfortable moving towards pain.
yep,
Yeah. So it's kind of in line with what you're saying. You have to be
yeah,
willing to be uncomfortable.
you have to, because the thing is that to anybody that's stuck in their life, or the life that they wish that they had, I mean, my question is, what's stopping you? I mean, really, because whatever comes out of your mouth is an excuse.
So what's the future for your shop right now, or even your story? I know you got a road trip planned and you're going to be taking some time for that, but what's the future for the shop right now?
I don't know. Just try and get some of this stuff knocked out that's in here. That's pretty much it. I just like working on these things. I mean, at some point, I'd like to grow to a larger shop because it's only been a couple of months and I've already outgrown this one.
Damn.
I've only had my physical shop in this location since realistically the middle of April, and I've not had an empty bay since. You
Yes,
know,
I saw that. I was fortunate enough to have you flip the camera around. That was pretty cool to look around there. It's obvious that you miss the road, just I can tell and just kind of hearing you, but it's also, you kind of get that passion of what you get to you're doing what you love and you're loving what you do. So I'm sure it kind of almost fills a void of the same way
yeah.
that road tripping does, being able to wrench on these cars. So, that's kind of cool, from, I guess, from my perspective. Where can folks find you if they want to get in contact with you? Do you have an
Uh,
Instagram or a Facebook for your shop?
I do, and it's the bus stop. It's on Facebook. I don't even think I'm on Google yet, if I'm being honest with you. I really don't advertise much. I'm not big into, social media and stuff. I've got my accounts. I used to be when I was on the road, I post pictures every 10 minutes of where I was at and what I was seeing. And, when I first started doing this over here, I kind of started, I was posting a bunch of pictures and stuff like that. And then I was like, nah, whatever. I'll just post when I can, when I remember to take pictures and stuff.
Right.
I mean, I've had just a multitude of cars come in and out in the past couple of weeks, and I haven't even posted the pictures on Facebook yet. So, it's just because I just stay kind of, in my lane here, and occasionally I'll post a picture or two. I'm trying to get back to doing it, but no, other than that, I mean, on my little business Facebook page, the bus stop, I answer back pretty quickly, or at least I try, unless my hands are covered in grease. But you know, but that's
Chattanooga,
it.
Chattanooga area, y'all. If you
Yep.
need a VW mechanic, look him up. The bus stop. All right, next questions are rapid fire. So for me, rapid fire is fast answers, whatever comes straight to the head. Let's dive in.
All right.
If it brings a story out, cool, but it doesn't have to, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'll try not to.
all right. In your travels over time, what's one of the weirdest things that you've ever eaten on the road?
Dude, I had a vegan taco one time. I was not a fan. I'm sorry. That's the weirdest. That's probably the weirdest it got.
Okay, that's all right. That's fine.
I'm
For
not a.
some, that's normal. For others, it's weird. All right,
Yeah,
let's talk
no.
about a dream build. Unlimited budget. Favorite VW out there. What are you building?
High top, high top bus, man.
Hot
Just a
top bus.
high top late bay with I want a single wheel trailer behind it. Just a stock 2 liter hydraulic lifters. That's it.
Okay.
That's my dream build. But obviously decked out on the inside for a very long term camping and stuff like that. That's
And
it
that,
though.
and that's so you can stand up to put your pants on in the morning.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
I'm a quick learner, brother.
I
I'm
can
a
have
quick learner.
guests.
That's right. Best state to break down in. Best state.
Oh man. I gotta be honest with you, man. It's either no joke, it's either Arizona or California because I'll tell you what, everybody's got a VW in their garage and there's a ton of them out there. You break down, somebody's gonna stop. They're
Yeah.
nice.
How about the worst state to break down?
Probably Texas. Nobody gives a shit.
What's the most overrated VW of all time? Overrated.
Oh God, this is so loaded, man. I don't, I don't, I'll work on them. Don't get me wrong. I would never have a rail boogie.
A rail.
I would never have a rail.
All
Like they're
right.
cool. I would never have one.
That's all right. That's all right. Most slept on tool that you use in the garage.
I like my mallets. Mallet can definitely persuade a lot of things. The little rubber one. You're not gonna hurt
Yeah.
anything with a rubber mallet, and that's my little persuader.
That's a good, that's funny, man. A rubber mallet. Yeah, they can persuade anything. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Coldest night that you ever spent in your bus. Coldest night.
Oh God Almighty. I was in Flagstaff in the middle of January or in the middle of December on my way to buses by the bridge, and my heater decided to go out like a week before, and it dropped down to I think it was like -10, no heater. I was about
Mm.
to die. So we had about, I swear to God, it was like 40 blankets, dude. I
That
mean,
is
seriously.
absolutely no, seriously,
Yeah.
bro, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
I lived in Colorado for a long time, but only 1 year did we really ever have negative temps like that. I want to say it was around October, November ish of 2011 or 12. And we had like 3 or 4 days that we had gone through that was like -10 plus, -15,
Yeah.
even -18 ish. It was so bad, like people, they were losing their little flocks and herds of animals, and
Yeah.
we had goats on our property at that time, and 4 of the 5 goats that we had all died from this crazy ass freezing crazy storm that had come through. But I
That year
remember
was
going.
rough for buses by the bridge.
Was it?
Yeah, because I mean, there was a blizzard in Flagstaff on the way there, which is where the cold came from, and then there was a blizzard that hit on the way back. So a lot of people left that year on like Friday. The show started on Thursday. A lot of people left on Friday that had to go back east so
Right.
that they could make it through Flagstaff before the blizzard came. And I think the only reason we stayed warm enough that we didn't die was because the blizzard came and it covered my bus in snow. And I think that's the only reason. I literally lifted the little access hatch in the back of the bus, and that kept it warm for a little while. And we had a little buddy heater, but that barely did anything.
Dude, what I was gonna say though was it was -10, and I remember going out and having to do something with my fingers.
Oh
On
God, no.
I had a Jeep back then, and I remember I had to do something. I think I don't know, checking my air or something, pressure or something. I had to do something and use my fingers, and I remember -10. I remember taking my glove off and to have access to my fingers, and I remember touching something, and then within 30 seconds, like, my fingers didn't work, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, is this what it's like to be in you know temperatures this cold? Like, it's very unforgiving, bro. Very.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's crazy. I mean, I've experienced cold like that a lot, when I lived in Alaska. And I mean, I can't really say you get used to it because you don't get used to that cold, but I mean, you really do get acclimated. I mean, living in Alaska was pretty, that first year, like it was summer and I was wearing like triple layer out in Bristol Bay. I mean, it was like 50 something, 40, 50 degrees in the day during summer. Well, I mean, it's all day, but yeah, it was
Yeah,
like 40,
right.
50 degrees.
I
Yeah.
learned that too. I've been out there.
Yeah.
My wife's family lives out there. They do the travel nursing.
Oh,
So
that's such a good profession for that.
yeah, for sure. And they live out near Anchorage, and we went out in the height of COVID. I mean, height of COVID. Plane tickets were $200.
Yep.
And we were like, all right, yeah,
And there's nobody sitting next to you.
I'm taking all 6 of you, all my whole family. So we stayed 14 days because it was an opportunity. And yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
what a
yeah.
great one it was. We loved Alaska in the summer. We missed the salmon
Alaska's great.
rush by just
Alaska's so good.
it really is, man. It's probably one of the prettiest places I've ever been in my entire life, for sure.
It is I mean, seriously, it's the most beautiful state I've ever had the honor to live in. I love it. I miss Alaska every single day, man. I really do, but I just can't go. I don't want to go work back in the fishing industry again. That's hard. That is very hard. I'm still paying for it, and I haven't done it in like over 2 years.
Damn, dude. So you did that too.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I did. But
that's
well,
some
because
hard work out there, brother.
yeah, well, when you're traveling, that's like no joke. A lot of people just don't realize that that's an opportunity for you. When you're traveling, they pay for you to go out there. They put you in a house, they feed you. So all you do is work, make money. You're spending nothing.
But it's
So then you come back.
crazy risky. And it's
Well,
crazy, or at least that's what it looks like on
oh, it is, but well, I did both. I worked on a boat for 2 seasons, and then I was in the
is it
factory.
really like it is on Deadliest Catch?
Yes.
Dude,
Yeah, I mean
yeah, bro,
it's
that's nuts.
pretty shitty.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It's pretty bad. But
So if
no,
you if you weren't into VWs in your life right now, what would you be doing?
probably back in Alaska.
Fishing?
Yeah, probably
Okay.
back in Alaska, working in the industry. Whether it's a plant or on the docks or whatever. I mean, really, the industry. It's the opportunity for adventure, and you get paid for it.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's what I love. I love Alaska, man. I love it. I love it.
I'm gonna give you a tough one. I think you can do it though. Describe your life in just 3 words. Just 3 words.
Never give up.
Never give up. My man had it ready to go. I like that. Never give up.
I don't even have any notes right now. That's just first thing that came to my mind. Yeah, because I mean, like you said earlier, I don't let much stop me from doing what I want to do or what I feel like I need to do or anything like that. I don't, I mean, this shop, my shop could close down next month. And I mean, yeah, I'd be upset, but I just go move on to something else. I never stop. I just don't.
Final piece of advice that you would give to the VW community as a whole.
Man, just keep them running.
Keep them running.
Keep them running. Save them all.
And drive them.
Dude, drive them, man.
Drive
them. Drive them. A lot of people, they just leave them in the garage to sit. I mean, you got to think this is a time capsule. I mean, it really is. These are all time capsules. Get out and show the world that this 50-year-old car can still hammer down the road. Enjoy it. They're meant to be enjoyed. They're meant to be driven. They're doing nobody any good sitting.
And that's a wrap for this episode of DubLife Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at DubLife Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. DubLifeDiaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.